Welcome back to the IBFP. Here's your host, Boxing Nuke.
Welcome back, fight fans. Welcome back. It's me again. Yes, it's me again. Let's just dig right into it. Gennady Golovkin versus Jermall Charlo. The 3 reasons why Gennady Golovkin beats Jermall Charlo. Before I get into that, I just want to give a little background on each fighter. The first, starting with Jermall Charlo. He's 27-0 with 21 knockouts. He's an undefeated fighter. He stands about 6 feet tall. His reach is about 73.5 inches tall. He's from Houston, Texas, and he's 28 years old. His last victory came by a stoppage win in the second round against a Hugo the Boss Centeno Jr. Jermall Charlo is one of the top rated guys as far as the 160-pound division. People want to see what he can do. His most notable win of his career was a 12-round unanimous decision against Austin Trout. Another top-level victory for him was against a Julian J. Rock Williams, in which he stopped him in the 5th round back in 2016. And so Jermall Charlo is not a terrible fighter. Jermall Charlo is a pretty good fighter. He looks the part of a top-level fighter. We just don't know if Jermall Charlo can compete with top-level guys. We've never seen that from him. The fact that he could not stop Austin Trout is a big telling. The fact that he fought a Hugo Centeno Jr. who's already been knocked out, that's very telling. And so you don't typically take Hugo Centeno Jr., Jorge Sebastian Hyland. You don't take these type of fights against guys if you're looking for step-ups in competition. You look for a better opponent at 160 pounds than these two guys. These two guys were showcase fights, honestly. They wanted to get the guy a knockout. They wanted him to show off his knockout ability. And I believe they were also eliminators for the world title. But these guys got to realize that you have to fight upper level competition. That's unacceptable because we still don't know what you have. Julian J. Rock Williams. Unfortunately, Julian Williams was just a prospect. Still is to some degree. We don't know how good he is. And then Austin Trout, at this point in his career, is not the same Austin Trout that beat Miguel Cotto. So you have to understand that these guys have not showed us anything. Jermall Charlo has a lot of great attributes, seems to be a decent level fighter, but we don't know how good he is or how average he is because he's never been in there with the Canelo Alvarez, a Gennady Golovkin, a Daniel Jacobs. I remember when Daniel Jacobs called him out, called him to the carpet on all his shit talking, and Jermall Charlo wanted no parts of Daniel Jacobs. He blew off the fight. He was not interested. That would have been his biggest and most notable fight, yet he passed on it. Then you look at the other side. Gennady Golovkin has 38 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw with 34 knockouts. Gennady Golovkin is 36 years old. He's from Kazakhstan. He basically resides in LA. He's 5'10.5". So there is the size difference in favor of Jermall Charlo. His reach is 70 inches long. The reach is in favor of Jermall Charlo. But those are 2 attributes. I'm not going to say power because as far as the reasons why I believe Gennady Golovkin would beat Jermall Charlo, because I do believe that power is probably the most obvious thing. We know that Gennady Golovkin has obvious power. We know Jermall Charlo has power against other opponents not named Gennady Golovkin or not known to be able to, not basically known as elite level competition. Let's just put it like that. Gennady Golovkin last fight was against Saul Canelo Alvarez, in which he lost a 12-round majority decision. In my opinion, I thought he edged out and won that fight, but unfortunately it didn't go his way. It is what it is. So we look for a 3rd Canelo Alvarez fight. But since that's not happening, unless he beats Jermall Charlo, which is ordered by the WBC, then let's see it. And let's get into the reasons why Gennady Golovkin beats Jermall Charlo. The first reason why Gennady Golovkin beats Jermall Charlo is the jab. You're absolutely right. Gennady Golovkin has a very strong and powerful jab, which he could hurt and which he stops some opponents with. And so let's just be honest. Gennady Golovkin is probably the biggest, baddest motherfucker at middleweight as far as power and the jab goes. No one at middleweight has a better jab than Gennady Golovkin. No one has established a better jab. Jermall Charlo is more of a boxer, puncher style type of guy. So he uses his jab at time, but he doesn't control a fight with his jab. I've never seen Jermall Charlo control a fight from beginning to end with his jab. And not only does Gennady Golovkin control fights with his jab, he controls his fights against elite level competitions in Canelo Alvarez with his jab. The second reason why Gennady Golovkin will beat Jermall Charlo, and this is obvious, is experience. Gennady Golovkin has went in there with multiple dimension style fighters, such as a Daniel Jacobs, such as a Canelo Alvarez. And those were huge learning experiences for him. Those fights, and he's had 2 fights with Canelo. He's had 1 fight with Daniel Jacobs. These were the best guys at the 160-pound division. Jermall Charlo's best fight came against an Austin fucking Trout. Austin Trout can't hold a candle to these guys, and he could not knock Austin Trout out. What the fuck makes you think that he's going to knock out Gennady Golovkin when Gennady Golovkin took the best shots from a knockout artist in Daniel Jacobs, from a very strong Canelo Alvarez at 160 pounds, and he took flush and clean shots right on the button and didn't fold? Let's not bullshit ourselves here. Jermall Charlo has not proven under any circumstance that he can handle Gennady Golovkin's power, nor can he hurt Gennady Golovkin or a fighter of his caliber. He could not stop Austin Trout. Austin Trout was recently stopped by Jared Swift Hurd. That's very fucking telling. Now, for a point of reference, you have to understand that this is not a diss at Jermall Charlo. This is just facts. He didn't stop a lesser B-level fighter. What makes you think he'll stop an A-level fighter? And some argue that he's still the champion of the middleweight division. The last and final reason why Gennady Golovkin beats Jermall Charlo is his ability to adjust. You know, I don't hear a lot of people giving Gennady Golovkin credit in this regard. Now, I understand true boxing fans, true boxing purists can give him credit for the adjustments that he did make in the Canelo Alvarez fight. He did get hit cleanly, but of course, when you're fighting a guy at Canelo's level that's really that good of a boxer, you're not going to fight a perfect fight. You're going to take some punishment. But you have to understand that his defense in that fight was impeccable compared to the first fight. It was amazing. He slid off a lot of punches. He got out the way of a lot of punches. And he did not allow Canelo to time him as much as he did in that first fight. Yes, his face looked beat up, but you have to understand is that Canelo Alvarez is a very strong puncher. And even still, he took those shots like a champ. And not only did he take it, he dished it. In the second half of that fight, you have to understand that Gennady Golovkin basically took over a lot of rounds. And when he started taking over those rounds against the Canelo Alvarez, basically what happened is he basically stunned Canelo Alvarez at least twice in the second half of those rounds. I had never in my life seen Canelo Alvarez stunned. Credit to Canelo, he survived those particular rounds, made it through, and became the world champion. Credit to him. On the reverse to Gennady Golovkin, he showed tremendous boxing ability. He showed that he could adjust, and he showed that he can be defensive minded and cautious and not reckless, not rushing in. He can think about his shots. He also showed he can execute a game plan. He recently did an interview where he basically stated that he started off slower, but he started off still quick to some degree compared to the first fight, but not as quick as he wanted. After Canelo wore down after the first 6 rounds, Gennady Golovkin turned it up a notch. And in many eyes, in my opinion as well, he won those last 6 rounds. Not convincingly. It was still a very close fight. But you have to understand that it's such a level of competition that Jermall Charlo has never been in, that he's never tasted. And his best competition was against an Austin, no doubt, Trout. That's not even worthy of a comparison. So at this point, Gennady Golovkin, in my opinion, if he fought Jermall Charlo today for the mandatory spot against Saul Canelo Alvarez, I honestly believe Gennady Golovkin would stop Jermall Charlo somewhere between the mid to late rounds, and that's my honest opinion. Jermall Charlo has not shown that he has the boxing ability of a Canelo Alvarez. He has not shown that he has the elite knockout power because he has not knocked out his top B-level opponent on his resume, which is an Austin Trout. So I need to see more from a guy like Jermall Charlo before I can even say that he's something special. He's basically just another guy at this point to me with an O on his record. I believe he's been hyped up by Showtime and a lot of fanboys, unfortunately. But that's part of boxing. Triple G fight will basically set a standard for what happens with Jermall Charlo. Is he really that good, or is he all hype? And so far, our conclusion, this guy's a fucking hype job. Once again, it's the IBFP. Please share, like, and you must absolutely subscribe.